Once upon a time, every game reviewer would mention how long a game was. Back then, if your game didn't have at least 40 hours of content, they were probably going to dock you some points. Even today, games are often judged on their size. I mean, how often have you seen open world games advertise just how big they are? But as my scream into the void just demonstrated, I think that's missing the point a little bit. The better question might be to ask, is all of that content actually engaging? Which brings us to today's topic, designing games to respect the player's time. Listing hours of content or world size are just ways to convince you that a game has enough content to justify its cost. And this is important, because all of us would rather pay $60 to get 40 amazing hours of content rather than just 4. But it's that word amazing that's really the important part. Because along the way, we should also be asking how much of a game's content is actually worthwhile. An open world might have 100 kilometers of space, but is it actually enjoyable to traverse, or is it just filled with repetitive busywork? Because let's be real, 8 hours of amazing content is way better than 80 hours of an okay slog. Games should respect your time. Plus, with the tons of recreational media we all engage with these days, not to mention, actual life stuff such as family obligations, doing errands, hanging out with your friends, or learning a skill, developers should understand that your time is actually as much of an investment as your money. You can probably remember parts of games that just seemed designed to waste your time. Those fetch quests where the mayor asks you to find some trinket, but when you bring it back to him, he then tells you to take it to the blacksmith down the street that you just walked by. Couldn't he have just told you to deliver it to that guy at the start? Yeah, he could have. Then there's the UI side. A lot of games have obtuse UI, where doing common tasks still require multiple button presses when they really shouldn't. I mean, think about the number of times you've had to dive several menus deep for something in a game you found yourself doing all the time. And that's why, when we're testing our UI, it shouldn't just be for usability, but also for priority, to see if it's streamlined for the tasks the players are doing the most. And then there's the uncategorized stuff, like unskippable splash screens every time you turn on the game, or games that re-download their entire client every time they patch. All these things add up over time. Of course, that doesn't mean that a game can't be slow-paced. I mean, some of the greatest games have a slow build or feel like a relaxing summer afternoon. It just means that even in slow-paced games, the game shouldn't be wasting your time. Which leads us to the next point, pacing. Okay, show of hands. When talking about a game, has a friend ever said to you, "Oh, you just have to give it a chance. It gets amazing 100 hours in." Oh, sweet child. If I have to put 100 hours, or 40 hours, or heck, 10 hours into a game in order to, quote, get to the good part, unquote, something's gone wrong. If your players have to prove themselves worthy to experience your real content, then that simply isn't respecting your players' time. Putting an arbitrary grind into your game just to keep players playing your game longer just does a disservice to everyone. Because while the grind is good for business in the sense that it means people are engaging with your game longer, it's actually terrible for business because plenty of people will simply bounce off and put your game down because they were gated from the good stuff by that initial grind. That's not to say that having some grindy elements in your game is always bad. It's 100% true, especially when building MMOs, that you need to have something that keeps your players from burning through all of the content and quitting before you finish building the new things for them to do. But even in that case, you should be asking yourself, is the activity the player is grinding inherently engaging? If it's something that the players would do without the Skinner box reward, if it's something that they would be doing because it's something they were coming to your game for anyway, then it's totally fine to attach a grind to. It's just not okay to make your players feel like they're investing hours into the grindy bits of your game simply to get to something else. So, how does a game respect a player's time? Simple. Streamline any aspect of your game that doesn't feel like playing the game. Modern turn-based RPGs, of all things, are a great place to look. The genre originally gained a reputation over the years of being grindy and boring by design. So a lot of recent games in the genre are finding ways to cut a lot of the redundant stuff. A great example of this is Pokemon Sword and Shield. Breeding and hatching eggs takes less time. You no longer have to trek back to a PC each time you want to switch Pokemon. And fishing no longer has a chance of nothing biting. Man, I know my dad wishes real life would get that patch. None of these examples diminish the gameplay. They just made those specific actions less time-consuming. Other RPGs also include features like speeding up random encounters or having quests automatically complete without returning to the quest giver. Doing this allows the player to focus on the core experience they're coming to the game for, and makes them feel like the game was worth their money. far more than any extra hours spent on these tasks ever would. So when designing your game, or even picking up your next one to buy, it's worth stepping back and asking, does this game respect my time? Is it actually interesting or fun to clear out all those enemy strongholds? Or is it just something else to do? How much of the game is just trivial busy work? How much of it doesn't challenge the player or enhance their experience in any way? As a designer, if you can identify those moments and rework or eliminate them, then players will be able to get right into what's engaging about your game, leaving them with positives rather than thinking about the negatives. And as a player, looking at these aspects of a potential purchase will help you vote with your dollars on the experiences you want to spend your time on. Because at the end of the day, games should be about more than just killing your time. Every hour you invest in a game could be spent on learning something new, or catching up with friends, or watching that show you keep meaning to, or even playing other games on your Steam list. So therefore, the games you end up playing really should respect your time. Well, hello there, Ahmed Ziad Turk, Alicia Bramble, Casey Mustia, Dominic Valenciana, Gunnar Clovis, Kyle Murgatroyd, and O'Reels1. Thanks so much for being legendary patrons.